By the year 2020, much of the world of healthcare will have transitioned from this cold and antiseptic experience of the hospital to a friendly and efficient environment of clinics and smaller facilities and virtual hospitals and a whole variety of other things that we're not even yet thinking about. You know, the world is changing all around us, and all the signs of this change are pervasive. What is going to happen by the year 2020 is that mobility, wireless devices, will become a huge part of what we do in managing our healthcare circumstances, including chronic diseases. You think about what is happening. You think about where we're going. You think about what is going to happen in the doctor's office, 5 years out, 10 years out. You will be sitting with your doctor. He or she will be downloading onto your iPhone or whatever device you might be using at that point in your life. They'll download prescriptions, courses of treatment directly onto your phone. They'll line you up with apps which you can use to monitor and manage a chronic condition. You think about how quickly this is unfolding. It took radio 38 years to hit 50 million people. It took TV 13 years. It took the internet 4 years. It took the iPhone but 3 years. You think about what has happened with Apple. It took Apple 2 years to sell 2 million iPhones. It took them just 2 months to sell 2 million iPads. The velocity of mobile is absolutely staggering. And you think about the number of health and wellness and healthcare apps which are emerging on these platforms. That's my blood pressure on the right. It's doing pretty good. There's an app for that. It tracks it. Watch it. You monitor it. You engage with a healthcare condition in a new and different way. It took Apple 1 month to sell 1 million iPhone 4s. And look at the app on the right. Glucose monitoring. Patients with diabetes, no longer having to write down their sugar levels. But there's an app for that, by which they can input them and monitor and manage. You think about what is happening here. Technology is changing at a fundamental level how people interact with a chronic condition which is impacting them. It took Apple 1 day to sell 1 million iPhone 4Ss. They sold 5 million iPhone 4s in the first 4 days, and as you just heard, they sold 5 million iPhone 5s in the first weekend. And what is happening here is this whole concept of wireless health has so much momentum, it's staggering. 78% of consumers in a survey indicated that they were interested in mobile health solutions. Medical and healthcare apps are the 3rd fastest growing category in the iPhone App Store and in the Android App Store. The Apple App Store now has 17 healthcare-related apps, 60% of which are aimed at the consumer. You think about what happens here when the world of healthcare apps and the world of healthcare and mobility and the world of healthcare and wireless begins to evolve at the speed of innovation that Apple changes the world at. There's actually a device which is put together for parents who have children with type 1 juvenile diabetes. And the big risk, of course, is sudden spike in glucose blood levels overnight. So the parent is constantly monitoring, managing their child. There's actually a technology in which you pinprick the child. It can monitor their glucose on a continuous basis overnight. And if there is a spike, it alerts the parent's iPhone. There's an app for that. There are rugs and mats for hospitals which can be placed under a hospital bed, which can watch for the sudden emergence of congestive heart failure through the rapid buildup of fluids in a patient, signaling potential significant problems. The pace of the evolution of medical technology is absolutely staggering. Medtronic, with the type 1 juvenile diabetes product, they call it MySentry. You think about where we're going to be in the year 2020. You think about a fundamental what is occurring here. You think at a fundamental level what is happening as we all of a sudden marry what we are trying to do in terms of chronic disease management to the need for follow-up. A very sad story that I found in one of our local papers. Most kids treated for asthma attacks in Ontario don't use the recommended follow-up care according to research. Most don't do the follow-up care that is required. But you think about what is happening. Think about what is happening with the apps. The vast majority of individuals do not make major lifestyle changes following diagnosis of a serious chronic disease, either in the short term or in the long term. But you think about what is happening. I was talking to my fitness trainer, my personal trainer, about what is happening in this whole marriage of health and wellness and fitness, and my own experiences going down this path. What is occurring here is that we have this device in our daily lives. And we have these tools which help us understand what we are doing and the impact of our behaviors and the impact of our pharmaceuticals, the impact of our drug regimen on how we are dealing with these conditions. And what is fundamentally happening here at a very fundamental level is it changes how often people are thinking about their health. That's a big change. And cast your mind out where we're going to be in the year 2020, 2022, when we're thinking about chronic disease treatment, and we're thinking about drug therapy, and we're thinking about what we're doing in terms of dealing with a patient who maybe previously 10 years might not have followed up in the advice we were giving them. And all of a sudden, they've got this wireless device which is part of their lives, and we've put these tools in place which continually encourage them to think about their healthcare circumstances, about their drug regimen, about what they undertake on a day-by-day basis to help them manage and cope. You think, well, what this does from a healthcare interaction perspective. The number of in-person visits that we might take begins to decline. And telemedicine and remote and bioconnectivity and community care begins to increase. Again, one of these fundamental transformative shifts which are underway. The world of healthcare in the year 2020 isn't going to look anything like it does today.